The prologue to the movie shows a gripping scene where two girls have themselves trapped in a closet, trembling with fear as they anticipate the arrival of an unknown presence. With bated breath, one girl, who happens to be disabled, reveals her decision to venture out through sign language, but the other one stops her. Suddenly, a series of unsettling sounds and screams fills the air. In a heart-stopping moment, the closet door swings open, cutting the scene abruptly. The movie begins, and we see a group of 4 friends who are embarking on a weekend getaway in the tranquil countryside. The group is cheerful as they happily drive to their destination. Josh and Aaron, twin siblings, lead the expedition to their late grandfather's abandoned house. As they enter the massive yet dilapidated abode, they see the other car next to them and get down to meet their other friends. The large group clamors and rejoices, shouting like teenagers. They share drinks and cheers. Josh, accompanied by his sweetheart Tara, who happens to be deaf, reveals that they haven't set foot in the house for a decade, as it has remained uninhabited since his grandfather's passing. They all raise their drinks for the old man, who apparently left them the house. The group, now curious, ask about how the old man passed, and Josh recounts the haunting tale of his grandfather's sudden drowning in the pond adjacent to the house. He also comments that his lifeless body was never found. Unbeknownst to them, a strange eerie atmosphere envelops the abode. The group quickly gather their stuff and venture inside the house. One of the people, named Freddy, happens to be a vlogger, and he captures everything while they go in. Freddy finds old boots and humorously comments about the old man being present. The friends make fun and joke around. The house seems to be laden with statues of animal heads, and when Freddy asks, there's no Wi-Fi or even reception in the area, further making them isolated from civilization. As they explore the house, suddenly they hear someone shriek. Kimberly's voice echoes as she frightfully calls Josh and Toby to come to her rescue. Josh, Toby, Tara, and Aaron run there, and Grace also follows. As the group piles in, Kimberly claims to have witnessed a moving cupboard. When nobody moves, Tara steps forward and opens the cupboard. Suddenly someone barges out, screaming with a phone, and everyone gets startled for a while. Yet, to their relief, they discover Freddy orchestrating the scare. Their attention soon turns to the locked basement door. Brandon stands before it, trying the door lock, but Josh explains that he always kept it locked, as Aaron had once been trapped in the basement for the whole night during her childhood. Night falls, and the friends gather to converse while Josh stands by the pond, reminiscing about his grandfather's enigmatic messages. Brandon also stays outside training. Tara watches her boyfriend outside and quickly joins him, sensing an underlying plea for help within the house's confines. As the evening progresses, they engage in lively games and partying. The group is energetic. Meanwhile, Kimberly goes to the kitchen, where she hears strange giggles of a little girl, followed by an unsettling humming melody. She goes to investigate and stumbles upon a young girl seated on the basement stairs. Hearing her approach, the girl suddenly looks back, and Kimberly sees her strange inhuman eyes. Terrified, she shouts a blood-curdling scream, but strangely the girl vanishes, and Kimberly finds herself standing in the same position in the kitchen where she stood before. Confusion sets in, but she shakes it off and the party resumes, albeit with an underlying eerie feeling. On the other hand, Aaron and Grace, childhood friends, retreat to a room where they would hide when they were children. They talk about their childhood and reminisce about the old memories of their shared past. Aaron questions Grace's romantic involvement with Brandon, whom she considers an unlikely match. Grace, however, defends him and says that even though he can be overbearing sometimes, he still cares for her, so that's why she likes him. Afterwards, they go back, and the party resumes. Back at home, Aaron experiences fleeting visions and occurrences near the stairs, intensifying the foreboding atmosphere. There she hears a child muttering strange words, begging the Lord to take her soul. Meanwhile, in the washroom, Tara's senses tingle as she detects a hidden presence behind the curtain. Despite her thorough inspection, she finds nothing but an empty space. Unexpectedly, she feels a hand on her shoulder and is startled. When she looks back, she finds Josh there, who comforts her and agrees that the house indeed has an unsettling atmosphere. He reassures her, dismissing her concerns. However, their reassurance is soon shattered as the lights abruptly go out, plunging them into darkness. Aaron's fear of darkness surfaces, deepening their unease. Josh quickly comes to his sister's rescue and decides to go and turn on the fuse. Unfortunately, the fuse is located down in the basement. He searches for the key, but upon opening the door, an overwhelming stench of decay wafts through the air. The group is repulsed by the smell. Nevertheless, Josh quickly ventures in with a flashlight and a bat. Inside, he sees ghastly bloodstains on the walls and strange creepy dolls. Ignoring the disconcerting signs, Josh proceeds to restore the lights and stumbles upon a concealed chamber. With bated breath, Josh beckons his friends to join him. They stand in awe as they uncover a room seemingly dedicated to strange rituals. The center of the room contains a blood-drawn triangle with a bowl containing a strange bloody mess. The sight sends shivers down their spines, leaving them petrified. Nearby lies an intriguing book that instantly captures Grace's attention. She looks it over and tells them that she knows what it is. They take the book upstairs, and Grace unveils that it contains ancient spells capable of summoning Beelzebub, one of the infamous 7 princes of hell. Moreover, it reveals an additional spell to unleash his legion. Despite the gravity of their findings, The friends initially regard it as a jest, brushing off the ominous implications. Kimberly expresses her fear, sensing an ominous aura surrounding the unfolding events. Nonetheless, despite her refusal, the persuasive arguments of the group sway her, leading to a unanimous decision to attempt the ritual. They soon return to the designated location, and Freddy starts his vlogging documentation. The entire group is annoyed due to his vlogging, and they all shun him. Finally, he closes his phone and sits down, and Grace commences the incantation. In an attempt to safeguard themselves, Grace recites the Circle of Protection spell, aimed at confining any potential malevolent forces within the circle's confine. As the incantation ends, Tara strangely catches a glimpse of a mesmerizing flash of light. She gets startled, and everyone looks at her. When she asks about the flash of light, it turns out that nobody else saw it. She then questions Grace about the authenticity of the ritual, and if there is a solution to reverse it in case it turns out to be true. Grace assures her that a solution exists. After reassuring Tara, they proceed with the ritual, and Grace then demands the need for a suitable vessel to facilitate the spirit's entry into their world. Unwilling to embrace such a responsibility, the friends remain hesitant. They prompt their vlogger friend, however Freddy himself hesitates too. All of a sudden, Erin, with a strange look in her eyes, implores Brandon to serve as the vessel, urging him to assume the important role at the center of the triangle, since he always brags about being strong. He agrees, and then comes to sit at the center without any fear. With unwavering determination and a smile, Grace proceeds to recite the spell, while the flickering candles cast an ominous glow. To their astonishment, the candles suddenly blow out, plunging them into darkness, and all of them get up frightfully. Josh quickly moves to the side to turn on the lights. When the room gets illuminated again, they see Brandon seated motionless, his posture strangely still. The group gets scared, and Josh slowly approaches him, asking to talk. After a while, Brandon suddenly speaks up, saying that he does not want to proceed with this any longer. Everyone breathes a sigh of relief, and Erin queries Grace about Brandon's possession, to which she responds that it has not yet occurred, since the spell wasn't completed yet. Deeply troubled, they ascend the stairs to continue their party and leave this crazy shit behind. Meanwhile, Grace stays back after hearing strange murmurs. She picks up the book and comes to stand in the middle of the triangle to complete the spell. On the other side, Erin notices Grace's absence and comes back to find her muttering something. When she calls out to Grace, the woman denies doing anything, and they go back up to resume the party. Back upstairs, the party is in full swing. Everyone gets wasted and drunk. However, Grace's behavior undergoes a disconcerting shift. She becomes disengaged, her senses dulled, and her voice silenced. She strangely looks about herself, with no one paying any attention to her. Suddenly, amidst her internal turmoil, she finds herself confronted by an evil demonic presence. She tries to scream, but her voice fails her, and she gets possessed by the evil being. Witnessing her strange behavior, Tara and Erin quickly come to her rescue. They sit by her side, but suddenly she gets up and goes out of the room, looking normal. Tara attempts to go after her, but Erin stops her. Grace goes to the kitchen and is driven by a ravenous hunger that compels her to consume everything around her in an unnatural manner. Freddy and Toby stumble upon this grotesque sight and are surprised out of their wits. However, their surprise soon morphs into revulsion as they find her drowning everything down her mouth. After getting sated and nauseous, she quickly goes to the washroom and pukes. Grace quickly comes back to the party room and, driven by her newfound desires, fixates on Brandon, enthralling him with her. As they make out, Erin watches them, looking jealous. She seems to like her friend more than a friend, as it seems. It also explains why she was so insistent on getting poor Brandon sacrificed as a vessel back down in the basement. Bad girl. Anyway, Grace leads Brandon to a secluded room. However, is short-lived as Brandon passes out. Grace harshly grabs his collar to wake him up, but to no avail. Enraged by his unconsciousness, Grace ventures out, seeking a new victim to satiate her insatiable desires. To her twisted delight, Freddy is sitting idle. She sees him and beckons him to come, and Freddy is lost. He looks around, and finally understands that she is calling him. Unable to resist her demonic allure, he eventually follows her to a room. There, they have an intimate moment, and afterwards, Grace retreats to the washroom, leaving Freddy to document the best day of his life in his vlog. As he is talking about how he got laid, Grace emerges from the washroom, and poor boy Freddy's best day turns into the worst as he gets possessed. Simultaneously, Tara senses a strange disturbance and looks around to find everything all right. She ventures outside to investigate. On the other hand, Grace takes a limp Freddy down into the basement. Tara senses a strange presence again and goes down the hallway. Upon witnessing the open basement door, she descends down into the strange room where they performed the ritual earlier. There she stumbles upon Freddy lying unconscious within the triangle. She gingerly comes near the body and checks his pulse. To her relief, he is still alive. Overwhelmed by fear, she flees back upstairs, frantically seeking help from her friends. They all quickly follow her and rush down to the basement, but now Freddy is gone. The absence leaves them perplexed, and they laugh, making jokes that perhaps Tara is so high she saw Freddy's ghost. The woman insists that it was indeed him, and they soon come to the conclusion that he must be pulling another prank. The next morning, we see Grace and Freddy in the woods. Grace is still driven by her demonic possession as she lures in Freddy. There, they continue their intimate shenanigans. After being done with the possessed Freddy, she comes back inside to find Josh cleaning the kitchen. A strange mischief sparks in her, and she approaches the poor guy from behind. At first, he thinks it is Tara and smiles, but soon realizes his mistake and turns around to find Grace. They get into an argument, and Grace tries to seduce him when suddenly Tara arrives at the scene. Witnessing the disconcerting scene, Tara storms out, and poor Josh follows her. Meanwhile, Grace sits with the spell book in the hall, while Aaron looks at her, concerned, and cleans. Tara and Josh come back, and Grace apologizes to her without looking guilty at all. Right that moment, Brandon barges in, overhearing their conversation, and tensions rise further, leading to a heated exchange between him and Josh. Grace looks happy as she takes advantage of the chaos, directing her angry words towards Brandon, calling him a Ken doll of no worth to her. He keeps quiet and listens as Grace debases him in front of everyone. Meanwhile, Kimberly sits outside, mediating, when all of a sudden Freddy's possessed corpse emerges before her eyes. She screams, and everyone inside overhears it. Afraid, they rush out to her aid, but Grace pounces on Brandon, violently tearing his ear apart. Josh and Toby manage to pry her away from a groaning Brandon. The shocking sight terrifies everyone, and their gaze falls upon Grace, who utters incomprehensible words in a language foreign to them. Tara, driven by her love for her friends, strikes Grace unconscious with a powerful blow from a baseball bat. As she falls, they forget all about Kimberly and tie her to a chair. As they sit around the tied Grace, deciding what to do next, Brandon suggests abandoning Grace and seeking assistance from the authorities, suspecting that Freddy and Kimberly may have met a similar fate, or might even be gone for good already. Despite his insistence, the group decides to stay together and not abandon their friend in such a possessed state. They resolve to search for Freddy and Kimberly, and use the book, which may contain a spell to undo Grace's possession. However, Brandon, consumed by doubt, dismisses the group and decides to leave. He goes out to find his car not starting. The remaining friends lead Grace to the basement and put her inside the triangle in a tied chair. They open the book, and after searching for a while, finally find the demon exile spell. Aaron quickly begins reciting the spell, but Tara notifies them of a missed word. She insists she didn't, but then restarts the spell in a desperate attempt to rectify the situation. In the meantime, Grace unexpectedly regains consciousness. She screams terrifyingly and frees herself to launch a ferocious assault, but the group fortunately escape the clutches of the demon and finally ascend the stairs, locking the basement door behind them. On the other hand, Brandon decides to leave the abode and takes a baseball bat with him as he leaves, but he soon finds out that he cannot leave the place. To his utter horror, there is a protective enchantment at the entrance rendering escape impossible. Back downstairs, the demon orchestrates a ritual from within the confines of the triangle and makes Freddy approach Brandon. The demon then possesses Brandon through Freddy's vulnerable vessel. As he falls unconscious, the possessed Freddy drags his body to the warehouse, where he lies it alongside a passed-out Kimberly. Back inside the house, the four remaining people sit around, wondering what the hell happened. Toby cries as he remembers how he pursued Kimberly, and now she is gone. They are lost on what they should do, and how they can make everything normal again. Suddenly, Tara retrieves Toby's bag, containing drugs that may prolong Grace's slumber, potentially providing an opportunity to banish the demon. Meanwhile, Josh and Aaron go out reluctantly to fetch the rifle that could serve as the backup plan, should their original plan fail. Aaron gets into an argument with Josh, but they eventually fetch the weapon. Back inside the house, Tara sits memorizing the spells with her photographic memory, while Toby is preparing the injection. Suddenly, Toby is startled by Kimberly's voice emanating from outside, pleading for him to open the door. He runs to open the door, feeling hope and happiness bubble up inside his heart, but alas, it is short-lived. To his astonishment, Freddy stands before him, launching a vicious attack. He fights back and shouts for Tara to escape, but the poor deaf girl cannot hear him. Outside, Josh and Aaron are alerted by Toby's cries, and they run to the house. As Josh enters the house, he finds Freddy going after Tara. He runs and pushes him aside. They engage in a perilous struggle, desperate for assistance. Josh calls out to Aaron to shoot Freddy, yet Aaron finds herself paralyzed by fear. She is unable to take the shot. Watching Josh in danger, Tara runs to the kitchen and fetches the injection. As Freddy is choking Josh, Tara seizes the opportunity, injecting Freddy with the potent sedative and rendering him unconscious. The friends then tend to Toby, who remains unconscious but is thankfully alive. Watching and seeing the threat firsthand, Josh becomes even more determined to confront the impending threat. Tara and Aaron, grappling with fear and apprehension, beg him to reconsider, but Josh remains steadfast. He hugs his sister and tells her to lock the doors, urging them both to hide. He then hugs his girlfriend and goes down the basement. Aaron cries after her brother as Tara takes her away to hide. Meanwhile, Josh slowly descends the stairs with his rifle in hand. He looks around, terrified, when he suddenly hears a sound. As he looks back, he finds himself face to face with Grace, his former friend, now consumed by the demon's malevolence. He shoots, but to his horror, the rifle turns out to be empty. The demon attacks him, and his rifle falls down. As he screams, Aaron hears the noise and shuts her ears. When Tara asks, she discloses that it was Josh, and her eyes water up. On the other side, after being done with Josh, Grace easily comes out of the basement and calls out to the hiding duo. Hearing her voice, Erin tells Tara that she has come out. The poor terrified duo holds their breath in fear as Grace moves around the house, calling out to them and searching. She goes around Toby's unconscious form, and he awakens. Grace finally arrives at the room that they are hiding in. As she stands there, the duo watches from the crack in the closet door. She calls out to them, but they sit tight. Meanwhile, Toby tries to sneak up on her and attack from behind, but it fails, and she easily grabs his hand, twisting it and throwing him on the bed. She then continues to attack the poor man again and again until he passes out. Then the demon-possessed woman approaches their hiding place and rips away the closet door. Paralyzed by fear, the two shriek. Suddenly, Erin unloads her gun and stands up, after strangely apologizing to Tara, who looks on in utter shock. What a traitor. As it turns out, Erin made a pact with the devil for love. She took her grandfather's life, attacking the poor old man relentlessly near the lake and taking out his heart. She then disposed of his body. After they arrived in the house to party, it was her who turned off the lights to make the house look haunted and make them go down to take the book. All the other strange happenings around the house, including cutting the car wires, casting a spell to make Freddy possessed, disarming Josh's gun, and finally unlocking the basement door before they fled, were also her doing. The demon attacks Tara, and she tries to stop it, saying that she needs Tara. She says that she did everything the demon said, but the demon says that she made a mistake when she couldn't get it into Brandon. In a chilling revelation, it is revealed that back when Erin was a child and got locked in the basement, the demon possessed her and saw Grace. At that time, the evil creature took a liking to her, and in fact Grace is the demon's love and not Erin's. The demon had been consumed by an infatuation for Grace, leaving Erin in a state of perpetual longing. When the demon refuses to free Grace's body from possession, Erin defies its orders to read the spells and flees from the demon's clutches. The evil creature laughs at her futile attempts to flee and follows suit with Freddy. They follow her to an old barn. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Tara awakens and flees from the basement. Back at the barn, the demon finds Erin, who flees to a storage room, only to be pursued by Freddy under the demon's command. She tries to scare him using a crowbar, but the man advances. In another futile attempt to flee, she pushes open the back door, but gets jumped by Grace and falls face first. The demon then grabs her by her hair and ruthlessly gouges her. The traitor Erin cries in pain, but to no avail. The demon orders Freddy to go and pursue Tara, who has apparently run away. Freddy finds Tara banging on the protection circle asking for help. As she sees him approach, she quickly raises her hands in surrender and approaches him. The woman looks back to see Grace coming their way, and harshly slaps Freddy, making him angry. In return, Freddy attacks the girl, but the demon pushes him off of her. Suddenly, Tara starts reciting the banishment spell. Grace laughs at her, saying they are not in the triangle, so it won't work. But to her surprise, Tara reveals her trump card. She ingeniously crafted a triangular barrier in the garden using a gas cylinder and Josh's lighter. Afterwards, she acted like she was trying to flee, only to get Freddy and Grace inside the triangle. Now, they stand within this enchanted triangle as Tara finishes the spell. All of a sudden, the two fall down on their knees, and the demon is at long last released from poor Grace's body. Gradually, all the passed out friends also come back to their senses and quickly run outside. There, they find Grace crouched and crying, while Tara is at her side, hugging and comforting the poor girl. She tells the group that Grace is finally released from the clutches of the evil entity. As it turns out, everyone else except Erin is safe and sound again. The group gathers to bid farewell to Erin, paying their respects and honoring her memory. They bury her in the yard, and Josh tells everyone to keep all that happened there a secret. All of them pack their bags and decide to leave. As they reach the barrier, Grace recites a spell removing the protective enchantment at the entrance. She throws away the book and leaves the place. Once she steps out, a strange pain stabs her stomach, and her face contorts in pain. Brandon quickly rushes to her side, but she brushes off his concern. They then set off together. The movie ends with the camera zooming in on Grace, who gives a creepy smile, hinting that the demon is not gone, but lies within her, and now it has finally come out in the world to wreak havoc. Bingo.